Left of the box. So now we're getting into the issues of federal government wanting to strip away reproductive rights for people in Canada. And we have, again, Leah Gazan speaking up against Pierre Poilievre's really horrible plan. So she tweeted out, "Today Poilievre showed once again he doesn't care about reproductive rights despite his party effort. I'm honored by the NDP to push to pass Bill C-64 today to provide free contraceptives to people in Canada." So in Canada, we do not have universal health care. Medication is not covered. There's supposed to be some sort of universal pharmacare that the NDP was supposed to push for, but instead, from the looks of it, we're going to be getting contraceptives and medication for diabetes, and that's it. Better than nothing, but nowhere near what they were promising. But let's see what she has to say about this.
Honourable member from Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians will not have free diabetes and birth control if it was up to the Conservative leader. And the Liberals, they keep delaying protecting women's rights. Reproductive rights are human rights, which includes barrier-free access to birth control. Unfortunately, this Conservative leader once again is attacking reproductive rights by blocking access to free contraception. Will the Liberals help us stop the Conservative leader and his anti-choice agenda and their efforts to deny free birth control?
The Liberals will probably not do much of anything. And so it's like, women, are you going to put up with this shite? And so it begins. And so May 7th, 2024, Conservatives present petition to eliminate abortion rights. They are telling you that what they will do if they form government. Women and people who can get pregnant, beware. And so this is, again, they're starting. They're already starting to ramp up for this.
For Peace River Westlock.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to present a petition today signed by Canadians from across the country. These Canadians are concerned about the nearly 100,000 preborn children who die every year since.
So as you can see, they're already starting to pick up on the same language that you hear a lot from the States, but the idea of preborn children. No, they're not preborn children. They're fetuses, they're zygotes, they're not human beings. All the tactics that you see down in the States are now being used by a lot of the conservative politicians here. And you might think to yourself, but it didn't work down in the States. But only it did, because Roe v. Wade got overturned. Now in Canada, it's going to be a lot harder to overturn that because it's in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But, there's a big but, if Pierre Poilievre gets in power, we're in danger of losing that right. And I'll explain why. Like, already we're at risk of losing that right through the provinces defunding clinics that supply reproductive care. And in New Brunswick, there's no clinic that you can even go to get an abortion. And so they're already working on provincial levels to take away this right from people. And should the Conservatives get into power again, they're going to start working on a federal level to remove this right. A right that we've had for decades.
Since the Morgentaler decision, Canada is only one of two nations in the world that have zero laws protecting the preborn.
Yes, Canada is one of the most liberal countries in the world when it comes to reproductive care. You can get an abortion in Canada no matter when, no matter why. If you can access it. The big if. It's not illegal, but you have to somehow be able to access it. And accessing it is the trick. It's kind of like nobody is prevented from buying a Porsche. Everyone can buy a Porsche if you can afford it. So it's the same with if you need an abortion. Canada is like one of the only countries, one of, I guess, two countries where it's like, doesn't matter how far along you are, doesn't matter the reason, you can get one. It's your right. It's just a matter of if you can access it.
They also note that a child's heartbeat begins when the child is 6 weeks old.
That's a lie. That's a lie. They don't have a heart at 6 weeks old.
And they are calling on the government of Canada and this place to strengthen the protections for the preborn in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member
So
of Peace
yes,
River.
it is beginning here in Canada too, although it's already started. It's just now coming federally. So Smith today, and this is from The Breakdown, a wonderful account to follow if you want to stay up to date with provincial news in Alberta. When asked about whether Albertans should be concerned about abortion rights and access to abortion, I certainly wouldn't ask my MLA's members to do anything that goes against their conscience. Sound familiar?
In going to private.
Given several of your ministers and UCP MLAs attended that rally, and Alberta's own health minister used to serve on the board of a pro-life association, should Albertans have any concerns that changes to access abortion services could be changing under your government?
Well, I'm pro-choice, and I'm glad to lead a party that has a wide...
Again, it's this idea of like anyone can get an abortion, you just won't be able to access one. That's all. You're welcome to get an abortion, you just have nowhere to go to get one.
range of perspectives that includes people who disagree with me on this issue, because you can I think have a really robust, important discussion on a whole range of issues, and we focus on the things we agree on. So I certainly would I don't ask my members to do anything that goes against their conscience. And
you see, the thing about party politics here in Canada is you have to toe the party line. Very, very rarely do they say party members can vote their conscience. And that's why I don't get on the case of some NDP MPs who maybe go along with the party on votes where it's like, well, if they voted no, it wouldn't have made a difference and it would have shown where they stood. Only that can literally lead them to being kicked out of the party and no longer being effective. Like no longer having that platform, that ability, and to try to get reelected when you're not part of a party is extremely difficult. Playing the political game up here is a lot different than playing the political game in the United States. You have to toe that party line, but on very, very rare instances, the party leaders will allow votes of conscience, so you don't have to toe that party line. But it more or less has to be declared ahead of time before you even dare try to vote in a way that the party doesn't approve of. And so for her to just already be saying like, oh, I would let them vote their conscience, that's on this and this only. And that's a good indication of saying like she's okay with, you know, these rights being stripped away from people.
And I certainly support them in going to private events as private MLAs and private citizens.
Mark Gerston, he's a Liberal MP for Kingston and the Islands, Deputy Government House Leader, and he's also pointing out how bad the Conservatives are going to be on this issue. So again, it's all that get to know your politicians. You know, he is Liberal, but I do agree with him on this. So you can go grab a snack and this goes on for a while. So every Conservative MP you see here has been endorsed by an anti-choice group that wants to roll back abortion rights. We don't need the music. You might be noticing a trend with this, mostly white men. But then again, that's the Conservative Party, is mostly white men. Look. 2 women in a row. And one of them is black. So the Conservative Party, very diverse. But the vast majority of these are white cis men that want to roll back the rights. And so if you have the time and you have a Conservative MP, go back to this list and see if your MP is one of them. Oh, we're going to be getting to her later on. We have a story with her later on. It's a good distraction from the fact that she wants to roll back abortion rights. Huh. Interesting. See, this is why it's important to get to know your politicians, because it's important to note that she's here, because we're going to be covering her in a different story in just a moment. If you have a Conservative MP, go back and see if they're on that list. And if that's the case, you need to work like hell to make sure they don't get back into power. So breaking, Conservative MPs speak at anti-abortion rally after discussing in the House of Commons how hundreds of thousands of preborn children are being killed and killed. Conservative MPs doubled down while giving speeches at anti-abortion rally on Parliament Hill. Watch.
We will work hard to build a Canada that's filled with hope instead of hurt. I ask that you help me be the voice of common sense in the House of Commons by adding your name to a petition. There are several people collecting petitions here today, and if you find one of them, please help us out there.
So here we have Conservative MPs talking at this. So Jagmeet's thing went to a counter rally to this.
Life from conception to natural death. We are called to protect the dignity of life from conception to natural death.
They don't care because they don't care about quality of life in between. They really don't. They won't do anything to help people raise their children. It's the same as in the States. Like they'll strip away any socialized program, like the child benefit payments that people get. The Conservatives would take that away in a heartbeat. Yeah, a fetal heartbeat. So when he's done, he turns over to Conservative MP Kathy Wagenthal, who claims the truth is not being told in general. So let's see.
The truth is not being told in general media or in our House of Commons about what abortion really does to your heart and your mind and your soul and your body, let alone to that life that is lost.
It's not a life lost, and a lot of people have abortions and they're fine. Like they're fine. There are people who get abortions for traumatic reasons, or they have complications with it that are issues. But the vast majority of people who get an abortion move on with their lives just fine. In fact, it allows them to have a life, to move on with a life that they're choosing, to go the directions that they want. And again, that's not to dismiss all the people who have to have an abortion because of issues like there's something wrong and the life of the parent is at risk, or it's not viable and things of that sort. Like those are tragic reasons. And under Conservative leadership, even those people wouldn't be able to get an abortion. So here we have another Conservative MP, Kathy Wagenthal.
And we in the House, as Conservatives, stand for equality between men and women from the instant of conception.
So we have to be on guard for this because it will become an issue if Pierre Poilievre gets into power. Again, here is Leah Gazan, so honored to join the pro-choice advocates and fellow New Democrats to oppose attacks on abortion rights today. We will always uphold the right to choose in Canada, and we won't stop until that right is no longer threatened.
Hello, freedom fighters! And I'm the proud member of Winnipeg Centre and a proud member of the New Democratic Party, the party that has always stood with the right to choose. And I am here today to tell all of you, keep your hands off our uterus. Because, my friends, abortion rights are human rights. Abortion is health care, and any threat to take away that fundamental right is taking away our right to access health care.
So again, just note who is speaking up. Like I said, there is a group of people within the NDP that if they were the party, we'd actually have a leftist progressive party that could energize the base. But the people in charge of the NDP prevent that from happening. And so the reason why having Pierre Poilievre in office is such a danger is he's already hinted at he would use the notwithstanding clause. Oh, but he says that he would only use it for things like bail reform. There would be nothing stopping him from using it for reproductive care. Like, what's to stop there? Having a prime minister willing to use the notwithstanding clause to take away people's rights while accusing the Liberal Party of being the dictators is insane. And it is a real risk, should Poilievre get into power, that once he starts down that path, and normalizing using the notwithstanding clause, a lot more of our rights are going to be stripped away.